Have you ever noticed that the PlayStation 3 is the only PlayStation console that doesn't have a game that's just called Spider-Man on it? The PlayStation 1 has Spider-Man. The PlayStation 2 has Spider-Man, the movie, but the box just says Spider-Man, so whatever. And the PS4 has Spider-Man. And even the yet-to-be-released PlayStation 5 will have a remake of this game on it. Now, Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and is the definitive best Spider-Man game. And it's also just the best Spider-Man thing in general since Spectacular Spider-Man got cancelled. But everybody has talked about how great this game is. So how about I do something a little different, and talk about the first Spider-Man game. How about I do something different and talk about the first good Spider-Man game? How about I do something different and talk about the first good 3D Spider-Man game? Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1. So the game starts with Doc Ock showing off his latest science gizmo, and Eddie Brock is there taking pictures, when all of a sudden, a Spider-Man imposter steals the gizmo and breaks Eddie's camera, causing him to lose control and become Venom.
He sees me! My camera! No!
See you, chump.
And after the scene is over, it is revealed that the theft was part of Doc Ock and Carnage's plan, and they turn on the machine and it fills the city with a deadly gas. Wait, so if Otto Octavius has already been Doc Ock for quite some time, how does the public not know that? Like, how has nobody figured that out yet? Why is Spider-Man the only one that knows that? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so the game starts and, oh my god, Black Cat, what happened to you? Guys, really? Was it that hard to make a female character model? You didn't even put a mask on her face. Okay, so, aside from the very outdated graphics, it's... Okay, I hate this game. This did not age well at all. You can only swing on a web line twice before you fall to your death. Why? Okay, I know why they did it. It was to prevent you from swinging through the entire level and skipping it all. But if they went through all the effort to include a story reason for why you can't run around on the street, why didn't they do anything for the fact that Spider-Man can't swing more than twice without falling to his death? Also, the controls are so clunky, they suck. I was able to get through almost half of the game, and the controls were frustrating throughout the whole thing. But they were still manageable until this stupid chase mission. Okay, first off, why does Venom wait for you throughout the first half of the chase, then stop waiting, and then just keep going? Also, how is it fair that he just takes a super sharp turn that you aren't able to see right as he stops waiting for you, giving you no time to figure out where he went? Also, look at this. I'm not even touching the stick. It's just doing that by itself, which wastes valuable time. So the only way to get past this part is to be absolutely perfect, which is super difficult with these clunky controls. I spent about 20 minutes on this part before I gave up, because if I had to see that stupid cutscene one more time... But hey, there's this pretty cool Green Goblin Easter egg. But wait, before you bond with an alien symbiote and come to kill me, let me explain. So, this game did not age well at all. But it gets a pass for being the first game of its kind and being a big step for superhero games, and at the time this was amazing. Well, this wasn't satisfying at all. Maybe at some point I'll give this game another chance, but not today. So, what else should I play? Spider-Man PlayStation 2, the original movie game. Nobody ever really talks about this one. I've heard people go on and on about Spider-Man 2, the movie game, which, much like Spider-Man on PlayStation 1, was a big step forward for not only Spider-Man games, but for superhero games in general, with the realistic swing physics and open world and the combat system. But what about its predecessor, Spider-Man the movie game? Well, let's give it a try. Oh, and one more thing first. This game came out in 2002. The last game came out in 2000. And both are just called Spider-Man, but are completely different games. So that probably means that there's some kid out there who had the worst Christmas ever in 2002.
Okay, let's play the game now. Okay, that was really weird.
So let's start a new game. So it seems like the game wants me to start this off on easy mode, but I'm no loser. Let's select normal. But just to be safe, let's go into the training mode. So, the training level has you playing as Peter Parker, who I guess is learning how to use his powers in infinite limbo while Bruce Campbell makes fun of him.
Okay, the topic at hand is web swinging, but let's get one thing straight first. Do not try this at home. Your house isn't nearly tall enough, okay?
Ah yes, a staple of the Spider-Man movie games. Bruce Campbell is the tutorial guy, and he loves to make fun at you for being bad at the game.
I can't believe how much stronger I am. This is too cool.
Well, good for you. If you want to throw some more goons around, knock on the door by facing it and pressing the punch button. I'm gonna grab a ham sandwich. Whenever you're done beating bad guys up, follow your compass and height meter. Okay, so here you are on the side of a building. Your next marker is up, so you could crawl. But I know you though. You want fast, you want it now. So I'm gonna let you in on something. If you press the R1 button while crawling on a wall, you'll web zip in the direction you're crawling. Now don't say I never did anything for you. Oh, too much mustard.
So while we are here in the tutorial, I should probably talk about the controls/gameplay. It's exactly the same as the PlayStation 1 games, just way more polished and with some quality of life improvements. The biggest change is that you can web swing more than twice without falling to your death. And they made this work by having every level that takes place outdoors either be a kinda open level or a chase mission. Though, a minor flaw with this is that it makes the cloud swinging way more obvious. Also, another big problem I have involves the camera controls. And oddly, it's not the camera itself that bothers me. I actually think it works quite well. It's that they didn't build the movement controls to handle the changing angles of the camera, leading to a lot of stuff like this happening.
This current is strong.
Other than that, the controls are fine. Actually, wait, one more thing. You know how in the movie they made Spider-Man have organic webbing instead of having him build the web shooters himself, like in the comics? Well, then how come in the game, they kept the mechanic of you having limited webbing? It doesn't even make any sense. If Spider-Man can swing an infinite number of times, why does he have a limited amount of freaking web bombs he can shoot? But on the bright side, there's a cheat code that gives you unlimited webbing, so you can use that if it bothers you that much. Also, since I have no idea where to put this in the rest of the review, there are these yellow spider emblems lying around that give you different combos, but they're completely worthless. Tell me, are you going to A, read through and memorize all of these combos, or B, are you just going to do this?
Nothing special. Web slingers here.
Literally, it does not matter at all.
Good job, kid. You might just make something of yourself after all. Good luck. You're gonna need it.
So the main campaign of the game starts with this CGI cutscene quickly explaining the first 30 minutes of the movie. And I mean quickly. They don't even talk about the spider bite or really anything about MJ or Harry. So the first level of the game has us playing as Peter in the human spider suit, swinging around the city, or a small portion of it, fighting members of the Skull Gang in an effort to find Uncle Ben's killer. Wait, hold on. In the movie, Dennis Carradine is just a small-time criminal. But in this version, he's like the head of the Skull Gang? Which makes no sense, since the gang leader is never the one who goes and robs the places. You send the gang members to do that. Also in this version, Dennis killed Uncle Ben for no reason. In the movie, he did it to steal his car, but here, there's no reason for it. And yes, I know that technically it was retconned in the third movie that it wasn't actually Dennis that killed Uncle Ben, it was Flint Marko, but they didn't know that when they made the game, so... Anyway, there's this optional side quest where you rescue this really hideous woman, and then you have to go find her purse, which for some reason is on another rooftop. Even the game acknowledges that this doesn't make any sense.
Before you go, I lost my purse on one of the rooftops around here.
On a different rooftop?
Yes.
Different from this one?
Yes.
Are you serious? Are you taking some kind of tour of city rooftops?
Yes.
Okay, whatever. I'll find your purse for you.
Also, this is the only side quest like this in the entire game, which makes it even more weird. But actually, now that I think about it, this entire level is the only one like this in the game. Every other outdoors level is either a chase mission or a boss fight. It's kind of an odd way to start the game off. So we find this guy and he gives us some information on where the killer is, and then we head there for the next level. And I don't think it's ever explained why they're even hanging out in this empty warehouse in this version of the story. Oh man, this is getting difficult.
Give me a minute.
Okay, we're back. So this level wants us to be stealthy, but there's absolutely no reason to do so, and I don't even understand how it expects you to be stealthy. But it struck me while writing this that it may have wanted me to avoid fighting enemies, but I'm not 100% sure.
Die!
How the heck is he still alive? Oh hey look, there was this one part where I got stuck in the truck and almost had to restart the whole level. That's neat. Then the next level is more of the same until we get to the end of the level and get to fight the first boss.
Ah, those flash grenades are
I
nasty.
got you now, you jerk!
Ah, I can't see.
Huh. This game's difficulty level is super inconsistent.
No, you. Not you.
Stay back! I'm warning you, you psycho!
I could have stopped you at the fight promoter's office. I could have saved Uncle Ben.
Oh, come on! In the movie, he at least trips over a weirdly placed pipe, but here he just trips over air and then falls out the window. So after that, we get another cutscene of Peter quickly explaining another 30 minutes of the movie.
These are the years when a man becomes the man he's going to be for the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into.
Oh my god, that's terrible! They didn't even try to make him sound anything like the actor from the movie.
With great power comes great responsibility.
And with this great power comes great responsibility.
Also, speaking of that, just so you know, Tobey Maguire, Willem Dafoe, and Bruce Campbell are the only actors from the movie that appear in this game. I'm telling you this as a warning, because they didn't even try to make any of the replacement actors sound anything like the actual actors from the movie.
You can't stop time from moving on.
So then after that, the next plot of the game begins. That being that Norman Osborn wants to capture Spider-Man to use his blood to make his performance enhancer serum. And may I just say the writing in this cutscene is terrible.
I can only assume that Spider-Man relates to our problem in some way.
Yes, Mr. Osborn, as that video showed, Spider-Man possesses all the attributes our project hopes to create. We hypothesize that he has augmented spider DNA in his system and feel certain that an analysis of his blood will enable us to complete our serum. We can modify the hunter-killers to track this DNA signature and capture Spider-Man.
Why did you have him say that? If Norman set up this PowerPoint presentation, then shouldn't he have already figured this out? So why don't you just have Norman say it? Also, if you're adapting the Spider Slayer's story, why didn't you just make this guy Spencer Smythe? since you guys clearly don't care that much about staying tied to the movie, and this way, I don't get to say it's a terrible impression of the actual actor. Also, Hunter Killer is a terrible name. Anyway, so the level itself starts with you just taking some Spidey selfies, when all of a sudden robots come and attack you. Don't you just hate it when that happens?
Prepare to be terminated.
Hey, check this out. If you swing near the bottom levels, you can hear the public mocking you.
Get a job, Menace!
Ah, my adoring public.
So other than that, there's not really much to talk about. This level is pretty easy. Can't really think of any reason that may be. Though I can't really imagine this level being that interesting on the higher difficulties either, because all of the enemies are in the sky, and it's not like there's this wide variety of cool aerial combat moves you can do. You just spam triangle to web bomb them to death, and when you run out of webbing, just like kick them in the air. That's about it. Okay, got all the robots. Can't wait to see where this plot with Norman Osborn will go next.
Who the heck?
Oh, okay. So after that level, we get yet another subplot where Shocker and the Vulture rob what I think is a jewelry store. Also, this game gives no origin story for either of them. And they didn't even bother tweaking the designs to make them fit the world better at all. The Vulture gets away, so you chase Shocker through the Grand Central Station, then the subways and sewers. That's not supposed to be there, I think. What is wrong with this guy? Why is he just standing still? Who perfectly stands still while they're on the phone? Also, was that phone call so important they didn't notice these guys busting through the walls and taking his coworkers hostage? There was even a fight in this exact room like a minute ago.
Help! What's going on?
You really ought to pay more attention.
Also, why is that pillar taking so long to fall? That doesn't even make any sense. How do they know there'd be any ground down there? What if there wasn't sewers in this area? Or what if it was right under a strong current or something? Why does this key to this very mechanical door in the sewers look this cartoony? How did they even get the key?
Where did Shocker find all you guys? Is there a website or something?
And what's the point of this giant pit here? This part right here is actually pretty good and challenging. Then we fight Shocker. And he's easy. No idea why that is. After you beat the Shocker, he snitches on where the Vulture is hiding, and we're off!
Okay, before we go on to the next level, let me jump back to that lack of origin thing I was talking about earlier.
So, I think it's okay that they didn't give the Shocker an origin story, since he doesn't require one. He's just a common criminal, but with shock gauntlets. But with the Vulture, you can't just throw him in here and not explain anything about him. Like, who is he? Why does he have these wings? Why does he live in a clock tower? Why does he steal stuff? Why does he have these robots? Anyway, the next level is really cool. It has us climbing the clock tower as the Vulture throws bombs and robots at you, and they destroy parts of the stairs, forcing you to find a new way to get past it. But there was this one part where I got really lost and confused, and I didn't know where to go. Literally, even when I finally got past this part, I still didn't even know how I did it. Also, what the heck is going on there? How? I don't understand. Then after we get to the top of the tower, we have to chase him through the city.
Hey, Vulture! Didn't your mother ever teach you that stealing is wrong?
I liked the joke better when Tom Holland did it.
Hey, Big Bird! This doesn't belong to you! Oh god.
Then once the chase is over, we have an air fight. And it's pretty easy. Can't imagine why.
Also, I guess the only pro of us never getting Spider-Man 4 is that the video game continuity gets to remain intact, right guys? Okay.
So then we get back to the Norman Osborn / Spider Slayer storyline. Remember that story from before? I sure don't. So they discover that there is another being that has arachnid DNA, that being Scorpion, so they just send the Spider Slayers out after both of them. Also, the Scorpion is also just introduced in this level with no origin.
Oh, come on, really? There's just no explanation of where he came from at all? Or why he's in a robot suit? Or just anything?
Also, for some reason, they reused the same character design from the PS1 game. So Spider-Man runs into the Scorpion in a parking lot, and we help him take down the Spider Slayers. And right after we finish that, he assumes we were trying to take him back to wherever he came from, and then we fight. And it's still pretty easy. So after we beat him, Spider-Man turns away for like 1 second, and the Scorpion somehow escapes the webbing and gets away. And say goodbye to Scorpion because he never shows back up in the game. So I'm going to label that entire subplot as filler.
Scorpion? Disappeared. I feel bad for him, but I can't help hoping I've seen the last of him.
Well, depending on what version of Spider-Man 3 you play, you never do.
So after that, we finally get back to stuff from the movie. Yeah, remember, this is a movie tie-in. I almost forgot. So we see the scene from the movie where Norman just gives up and uses the performance enhancer serum on himself, leading to the death of Dr. Strom and the creation of the Green Goblin. Then it cuts to the festival from the movie. And oh hey look, it's the only scene Harry gets in the entirety of the main campaign. And since they couldn't get James Franco, they got Josh Keaton of Spectacular Spider-Man. Oh my god, MJ, what is wrong with your face? How did that bomb throw you all the way onto that balloon? Also, great voice acting, MJ. So then the level starts, and it's nighttime now.
Why?
So we have to save MJ from this balloon with a very flat top surface. And saving her is super difficult.
Time to end this.
Hey there, beautiful. Need a hand? Hang on.
Spider-Man! Oh, thank you. I thought for sure.
Hey, no problem.
So then after that, we get to fight the Green Goblin by chasing him through the city. Oh, come on! Why even bother putting the festival in the game if you're not even going to have the fight take place in the same spot, or be at all recognizable to the scene from the movie? So we chase Goblin around and punch him a few times, then he tries to blow up this bridge, and oh my god, this part sucks. And after we beat him, the next level starts, and we fight him again. Okay. So the first part of this second fight is exactly the same as the last fight, except after you punch him enough, it'll damage his glider and force him to land in this super boring empty room. And suddenly the game gets super difficult, since he counters all of your attacks and does so much damage. And he throws so many bombs. The only reason I was able to get past this part is that the health refill kept respawning. So then after you get through this phase of the fight, he gets back on his glider and basically does the first phase again. Except this time, we force him to land in a slightly more interesting room to finish the fight off. Luckily, he only has a few more hits left in him. So then, once you finish him off, he says that he planted bombs all over the city, and now we have to go and defuse them.
Okay, so far so good. I just have to stay out of the spotlight and be fast so the robots don't get me.
Aw, crap, oh my god, what is happening? There's only one left. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. And this is on easy mode, guys. When there's so many explosions that the game's frame rate is cut in half, that I think there's too many explosions.
Man, I can't imagine how difficult this is on normal and hard mode.
I'm gonna have some nasty words for that creep on the glider when I catch him. But first, I'm gonna go somewhere quiet and have a heart attack.
Alright, Spider-Man. You've made your choice.
So here is where the version of the game you're playing comes in, because if you're playing it on the Xbox, there's another storyline where you fight Kraven the Hunter. But sadly, I don't have the Xbox version of this game, so I can't play it.
But for some reason, I own 2 copies of this game on PS2 and a copy for the GameCube for some reason. And I used to have a copy of the PC version, but I got rid of it because it didn't work. So instead of something cool like that, we get yet another fight with the Green Goblin. Except instead of fighting him, we get to fight his pumpkin bombs. Yay!
Hate those things.
So then, once you finish fighting the pumpkin bombs, you go and hide, and the Green Goblin just gives up and goes home. But he leaves behind like a piece of the glider or something that has his company logo on it.
Seriously? That's as stupid as Peter Parker putting his name on the camera he uses to take pictures of Spider-Man. Oh. Right.
So after that, Peter goes home and does some research, and then my copy of the game started glitching out.
Harry would be devastated if he found out his dad was involved.
And he decides to break into Oscorp. And oh my god, these missions suck. So the first Oscorp level has you sneaking around the offices, finding parts of this passcode on different computers that are left on, while also trying not to let any of the guards find you by staying on the ceiling or in dark spots. Because if they spot you, then a bunch of robots are going to come and kill you.
Getting through that big blast door is going to be a real trick. It requires a special code to open it. Harry said that no one person has the whole code. Hopefully I can find the pieces on some of the computers around here.
Also, that doesn't make any sense. If nobody knows the full password to get into this room, then there shouldn't be anybody in that room at all. And if you don't want people getting in this room, then why not just give nobody the pieces at all? Also, what kind of passcode is this? The next Oscorp level has you teaming up with a scientist to sneak around this secret lab to destroy this massive chemical weapon. But to do so, you must push these buttons in the right order, which I had to look up. Oh, okay, I'm sorry I went to the big giant door first instead of the smaller door that's right next to it. Hey guys, isn't it a little overkill to have all these lasers and spotlights in the same room? And what's the point of having these robot security guards if you already have human security guards? Also, how do these spotlights know that I'm an intruder if the security guards can walk through them just fine? Though, right around the end of the level, you just gotta give up on stealth since you have to beat up this guy to get this key card to the last room. And man, there is so many robots, and if I didn't accidentally land on this health, I would totally have died. Also, why are they making these giant chemical weapons in the middle of the city? How have they gotten away with this? So once we finish that, the next level has us fighting a gigantic robot that's freaking impossible. Oh my god, I just barely made it and there's so many robots and lasers and explosions. I am legitimately terrified about how hard this fight must be on the harder difficulties.
Oh come on, if you adapted the Spider Slayer story for the most part, why couldn't you just make this giant robot this giant Spider Slayer from the comics?
And why does Oscorp have all these robots? What's the point? Are they all designed with the very specific scenario of a superhero breaking in? Like, what was this giant robot built for? Was it just built on the chance that Spider-Man breaks in? Since we know it can't move since 2 of its stupid shield generators are in this room. So it can't be intended for anything other than this scenario.
Like, no wonder the board wants to fire you, Osborn. This can't be cheap.
In fact, how has Oscorp not gone out of business already? Since they clearly can't be making that much since the future of the company depended on the performance enhancers. Hey Norman, maybe instead of sending robots to kill Spider-Man to make your super serum, maybe just get rid of all these unnecessary robots and spotlights to prevent your company from going bankrupt instead. So anyway, we get to Norman's office and discover that he knows about MJ and is planning on kidnapping her. So off to save her we go. But first, we have to escape Oscorp, which now has all of its security devices on. Hey, why didn't you just jump out the window in Norman's office instead?
Okay. Let's speed this up.
So after we escape Oscorp, we chase down the Green Goblin who has already taken MJ. What are those even supposed to be?
And then the chase just randomly ends and leads into the final fight in the next level. But before we get to fight the Goblin, we have to save MJ.
Hurry! The fire's getting close!
Okay, let's try that again.
Oh my god, this boss sucks. So when he's on the glider, it's a piece of cake. But that doesn't matter since that's just damaging the glider. The only time to actually damage him is when he's on the ground. But he still counters all of your attacks. And also now you have to deal with the missiles and bullets the glider is launching at you, and the 5 million bombs the Goblin himself is throwing, and this time with no infinitely respawning health. The only way I could damage him is with this impact web, but sometimes he dodges it or Spider-Man just does this instead, since the way you do it is so specific that it's very likely that you'll just do this and waste all of your webbing. But hey, I did it. Why did he take his mask off? He had no reason to. How did that kill him? There was no blade on that glider. And it didn't even push him into a wall or anything.
Tell Harry I'm sorry.
Why do you want to tell Harry you're sorry? Since when do you care about Harry?
Aw, yeah, let's make out over one of our best friend's dead father. Super hot.
Yeah, that's my life. Complicated. Looks like you're done now. Go outside and play.
But we're not done yet because this game has some extras. Like if you defeat 60 enemies in the combat training, you can fight Bonesaw. Hold on, let me just...
Out of my way.
You got a big mouth.
Okay, let's fight Bonesaw. Alright, they couldn't get Macho Man Randy Savage, so it's just a generic luchador. But beating the game on easy mode lets you play as Peter Parker. The best part of that is, they kept his clothes on the ground, so he must have just ripped his clothes off to reveal the same set of clothes. But if you complete the game on normal mode, you get to play as the Alex Ross Spider-Man. Now I could just play the game again to unlock this, but instead I could just...
Territory. Yeah, that's my life. Complicated. Looks like you're done now. Go outside and play.
There, I did it. And the best part is, when you get to the Green Goblin levels, they changed it to the Alex Ross unused concept design for the Green Goblin for the movie. Except they didn't reanimate the ending cutscene for some reason. But there's an even better reward for those who complete it on hard mode. Just hold on.
This is supposed to be the skull.
I earned this! Not only is this super cool, it's also a completely separate story where you play as Harry using the Goblin gear. But sadly there's no cutscenes in this mode. And one really dumb thing is that they didn't change the Green Goblin for the boss fights. All they did was just deepen the voice.
Go ahead and save the girl, if you can.
Come on, why didn't you at least change it to the Hobgoblin or something? And don't tell me it's because they didn't want to jump the gun on the story, since the last thing Harry said in the movie was,
"One day Spider-Man will pay. I swear on my father's grave, Spider-Man will pay."
So this entire thing is jumping the gun on the story. Like at the very least, just use the Alex Ross one again. But we're still not done because there are cheat codes, and lots of them. Like there's this one that lets you play as this thing. Apparently it's called Matrix Spider-Man, but I don't see it. There's also this big head mode, which is pretty good. His head doesn't even fit the frame half of the time. Also, there's this first-person mode, but when I tried it, I forgot to turn off big head modes, but it doesn't really matter since it sucks anyways. But if you don't like big head Spidey, there's also tiny Spidey. But the big problem with this is that it completely breaks the frame rate of the game.
A carjacker killed an old man earlier today. The killer's a skull. Where is he?
I can't tell you. He killed me.
Whoa, Spidey, that's brutal, man. How is he supposed to have kids now? But there is one code that is better than all of the other codes.
Uncle Ben. Murdered. I have to find the guy who did it. There's nothing Peter Parker can do at this point. But Spider-Man is a different story. This is supposed to be the Skull's territory. I'll find Uncle Ben's killer if I have to go through every one of the Skulls to do it.
Yes.
So did Peter just rip off his skin to reveal that he was MJ the whole time? Or did he pull a Buffalo Bill and make a suit out of MJ's skin?
You know, a lot of people think Sam Raimi didn't do Mary Jane justice in the movie. And a lot of people say that she's just the damsel in distress in those movies. But I don't see it. As this shows, she's very independent.
You messed with the wrong guy.
MJ is trans confirmed. Finally, MJ can make out with herself.
It's just what I've always wanted.
So this is easily the best code in the game. As long as you're not playing the Greatest Hits re-release, since they removed the code due to the lesbian kissing.
So, after all of that, I definitely recommend Spider-Man the movie game to any Spider-Man fan out there.
It's definitely not the best Spider-Man game. It probably doesn't even crack the top 5. But it's still pretty fun. It's super replayable with all the cheats and unlockables. And it's easy to plow through quickly and move on with your day.
So, now that that's over, what should I play next? No, not today. Maybe later, but definitely not right now.
All right, an empty delivery bag means it's time to head back.